Welcome back. You're watching Alastair, Stewart and Friends on GB News. Have you done all of your Christmas shopping yet? If you haven't, you might be in a bit of a pickle. A global shortage of microchips has caused certain products to be sold out on the high street. But not to worry, you can still find them online if you're willing to pay 70% more. Combined with supply chain bottlenecks, this means that games consoles, vacuum cleaners, all sorts of electronic gadgets are in very high demand. Joining me now to review all of this is a good friend of mine and indeed a good friend of this show, Marc Fels. He is the director of the HGV Recruitment Centre. How fares it out there?
Well, actually, we were talking before. The market's changed again a little bit. So we had a crisis and we had a big shortage in the run up to Christmas. As one example, the drink sector 2-3 weeks ago were coming out very publicly and talking about the fact that alcoholic drinks and soft drinks as well were going to be in short supply over Christmas. But I have several customers in that space, and over the last week, they've stopped looking for drivers because their volumes are hugely down because, sadly, Omicron has meant that, certain sectors like retail, travel, hospitality and leisure have been hit again. Yeah. And what that's done, almost taking us back to how it was during the first pandemic, where if you weren't in parcels, delivery or food, there wasn't as much work. So we've
Food is still going all right?
Food is going okay, and the supermarkets, I think, have probably got most of their stock in for Christmas. But for me, it's reminiscent, and it's swung back to how it was last year, where actually, because those sectors are much quieter, there isn't the demand, and therefore the need for the drivers isn't as bad at the moment, and that's created a small surplus. So for Christmas, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah. Does it risk also becoming a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy that if suppliers think the demand isn't going to be there, so they cut back on engaging people like you and deliveries, and then lo and behold, there is a shortage? They kind of help create it.
Possibly. Yeah. I think they're very reactive to, the needs of the business at that very moment, and whilst as we're running up to Christmas, this should be the busiest time of year for hospitality, leisure, retail. What we're seeing is a drop. I mean, yesterday, in large retail high streets reported 8 to 15% drops in footfall. So this is affecting everything, and therefore the supply chain will react to that.
But you were saying to me as well, as I jokingly said in the introduction, about you can still get stuff online if you're prepared to pay a bit of a premium. Mm-hmm. But that extra online demand and delivery is good news for you in the sector.
Well, yes. I mean, that's where most of the people are now doing their shopping. So that's still very, very busy, and that will probably take that surplus of drivers that aren't now delivering drinks or food or linen for hotels.
And you supply lorry drivers, but you also supply van drivers and smaller size
We do,
stuff.
yes. So the courier businesses are busier than ever. Yeah. It's knocked the market back a little bit because the demand has dropped because people's behaviours have changed owing to Omicron.
Yeah. Let's throw it forward. Our friendship and our relationship began when we were talking about, the straightforward lorry driver shortage, the fuel crisis, months and months ago. Yeah. You've written to senior ministers, you've had responses for them, and you've kept us up to date on how things are going. Full stop, paragraph. What does 2022 look like to you right now?
OK, well, so if we take the positives first, there's the skills bootcamp, where the government are funding training for thousands of new drivers. I think the small challenge with that is because everything's been in the media and we've seen that wages are inflating, there's been more demand for people to want to be drivers. So that's good. The challenge is that demand for training has gone up both from private individuals and corporate clients who will maybe train someone in the warehouse and take them through to their HGV driving licence. So demand is up, but the training school infrastructure hasn't grown with demand. So as much as there are now more people wanting to get into sector, my worry is that we haven't increased that training school infrastructure as much.
But let's finally and briefly stick with the theme of today's programme, which is trying to be optimistic about all sorts of things. Yeah. So the infrastructure is right. Government just needs to give it a bit more of a nudge and a bit more of expansion. Then we will have the drivers that we need in the next period.
Well, it's going to take time, because if you actually look at the fact that we've got an ageing population, I do think that we will continue to lose drivers into next year. But, there are definitely more people that now want to train. So providing we can get more infrastructure with the training schools and more licences processed quickly into next year, we will start to see positive differences, which I think can be a good thing.
I think it could be a very good thing indeed.
Yes.
Great to see you, mate. And keep in touch and have a good Christmas if I don't see you.
You too,
before then,
Alastair.
which I suspect I won't, but you know where we are and we know where you are.
Thank you very much.
Great to see you. Thank you very much indeed. That's Marc Fels, the director of HGV Recruitment Centre, giving his take on what it's like right now and what it may be like next year. He is at the coalface of supplying people who deliver what you want and what you need. You're watching Alastair, Stewart and Friends. Plenty more still to come this afternoon, including...